Hey everybody, Steve here again, back again, talking about preparing for the end, preparing for death, and some things that I picked up when dealing with Mom and Bucky's passing, and just some pointers and some thoughts that I'm kind of doing in my own life and kind of getting ready for. And all of this is kind of under the mantle of the whole concept of Swedish death cleaning, kind of simplifying your life. Last time I talked about decluttering, getting rid of stuff. It talked about the cathartic effect, and then just kind of, and a lot of people, some good comments. A lot of people are like, well, that causes me stress. And I'm like, well, I get that. You have to, everybody has to deal with things their own way. But just, you do the best you can, or organizing it or whatever. But the idea, again, is those you leave behind, thinking about them. So today I'm going to talk about simplifying things in your life. And obviously, decluttering, simplifying, the clutter around your home is a big one as well. But one of the things that it's a big thing that Arlene and I are kind of thinking about a little bit now. I mean, 3 of our kids have moved on, and our fourth kid, Isabella, is going through graduate school now, and she's living here at home with us. But eventually there's kind of going to come a day when we just won't need a big house, and not that the house we live in is big or anything, but I mean, if you live in a big house, if you had a big family and you've got a 4,000 square foot home or whatever, and it's just you and your spouse, or just you. Sometimes downsizing, it helps a lot, for one, if a big house, some people feel the pressure to fill the space. Nature abhors a vacuum, right? So, and here's an interesting discussion, because Arlene and I had this as well, some people will keep a big house and they're like, well, what about when the kids come to visit? I went visiting Arlene's family when we were much younger. We all slept on the floor. We had futons. In fact, we still have futons around here all over the place now. Sleeping on the floor. I mean, does everybody need their own bedroom? I mean, we crammed people sleeping in living rooms. Everybody had their own kind of, you're in the living room, you're in the, den, people everywhere. It was like, sometimes it was like Jonestown around there. Bodies just laying everywhere. But, do you need to keep a big house for the 2 times a year the kids come to visit? If you downsize, I mean, sometimes it's like, well, hey, you either, sleep on the floor, or go get a hotel and come by in the morning. I mean, there's that's it as well. But I mean, taking a step back and going, honestly, do I need to keep a 5,000 square foot home, or however big your house is? Could I go down to a smaller size? Something to think about. Also, I mean, another thought too is okay, when we do get together, if we do, get all the family together, maybe the smart idea is just to rent a place. We did that one Christmas. We rented a place up in the mountains, and Arlene and her sister and her mom, all the sisters, everybody came together. It was like 20 of us in the house, and we were rented a nice big place just for that, for 4 or 5 days, and for Christmas, and it worked out great. So some things to think about. Another thing to think about, downsizing. About what you're doing and your job. I mean, if you're doing what God's called you to do, or you really feel satisfaction and you're doing that, continuing to work, great. I mean, I love what I do. I love flying, and I'm glad I get the opportunity to do it again. In fact, I'm getting ready to head out on the road here in a couple of hours to go hit the road again. But if you're working and at a job you hate because you need X amount of money, do you need it? Take a step back and go, man, you know what? Well, I could work something I really enjoy that's enough money. I've got enough money put away already. I mean, how much do you need? What are you saving for? What are you working for? Are you working to get a bigger pile of money that you can leave your kids? Is that what you're doing? What about living for today? I mean, something to think about. One of the things we talked about for a while, this was probably back in the about mid '90s. We were kind of just getting our feet underneath us, and was, got promotion. The Air Force was making a little bit more money. Kids were coming along. We started thinking about life insurance, and of course, being active duty military, you have the service group life insurance while you're on active duty. We were looking at some other insurance and other things. I wanted to make sure Arlene and the kids were taken care of if something happened to me, because I was a pilot, a military pilot, and that's it's fairly dangerous. So we were looking around at insurance, and of course, we went to this one insurance company and we're talking with them. And of course, they're hard selling us on the whole life insurance. Your rates will never go up. It'll be the same forever. You're going to get older. You're going to get, health issues. The rates will go up. And they were quoting us like, $600, $700, $800 a month for insurance for whole life, and you can cash it out. It'll have a cash value. And we talked long and hard about that. And we were like, well, I could do that. Or, we're big Dave Ramsey fans. And that was one of the things he talks about is, we ended up going with the term life insurance. So instead of $800 a month, we're paying $35 a month for me for, however much insurance that we got at the time, which was plenty. And basically the rate's going to stay the same until I'm, 30-year fixed rate, whatever, for term insurance. And, I'm like, well, okay, at that time I'll be, 70 or whatever it was at the time. And at that point, kids are all out on their own. They're all doing their thing. We'll have enough money set away and put away, and do we need it? So, even though whole life, hey, it's good, the same rate for the rest of your life, and it has a cash value and you cash it out, blah, blah, blah. But it's $800 a month. I can take $35 and put it in a term to give me plenty of money if something happened to me, God forbid, and then invest the other $765 in the stock market or just put it in a mutual fund tied to the S&P 500. Just do that and put more away. So simplifying things, insurance, take a step back and think about that. And if you haven't already, or if you're thinking about insurance, take a hard thought about that. What are your assumptions going in? What are you planning for? What are you going towards? What's important to you? So, and the big thing was we didn't want to sacrifice our future for insurance, like that. So, Mom made a video, paying for kids' college. She talked a lot about that, about, setting aside money and everything else for us to go to school. And she talked about that. And they did pay for my college, her and my dad. Of course, it was a lot cheaper back then, back in the late 80s. But, she talked a lot about that, about some of the sacrifices they made at the time for us, and looking back, and that she would have done some things different. And that's certainly true. And Arlene and I talked a lot and feel the same way. If you're starting to save for college or for the kids or something like that to set aside, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to give your kids anything. We wanted to, if we could, but we're not going to sacrifice our future. And that was kind of the point Mom made, was not to sacrifice your future. And I don't want to, have to eat dog food when I'm, 90 years old because, my kid wanted the college experience at some Ivy League school, whatever. So don't sacrifice your future. One of the things that I want to talk about too is simplify giving to your family. So like we talked about the last video with decluttering, one of the things is categorizing. I'm going to keep this until I die. I'm going to give this to somebody, give it to the kids, give it to family, whatever. I'm going to donate something to local charity, Samaritan's Purse or Red Cross or whatever. I'm going to donate this to a local charity, or I'm going to chuck it in the trash. And so you categorize that stuff, and you've identified it, and you've gone through. Here's a question for you. I mean, do the kids need it now? So if you intend to give this beautiful, I talked about my inconvenient table. If we never use that thing, which we haven't in a long time, because we really haven't had people over and family together and everything else in quite a while. It doesn't mean we won't, but if you have a table or something that you're just not using, or it's in your garage, or it's just socked away in the attic somewhere, and one of these days I'm going to give it to the kids, could they use it now? I mean, if you have a crib and your kid just has a baby, I mean, why not give the crib now? That's certainly something to consider. Bookcase or table or something, or money. It'll certainly make it simpler if you and would simplify things if you gave some stuff away now rather than saving it all to the end. And kind of the concept behind that is like kids on Christmas morning versus kids on their birthday. So typically, a kid will get something for their birthday, a present. It's like, hey, this is great, awesome, thanks, and they're really happy with it. And it might be something a toy they really want to play with, and they're playing with it. Versus Christmas morning when they're getting 5 or 6 or 10 or however many toys at the same time, and they're just overwhelmed, and it's just like, I don't know which one to play with. That's why they end up sitting in the box. So is it something you could give incrementally up to until it's all gone, or maybe it's a surprise, or maybe it's a scrapbook of pictures that you put together that you wanted to leave memories or something. That might be appropriate to wait, or you can see their face when you show it to them and give it to them now. I mean, that's certainly something to think about too. Last little point I wanted to make here is simplifying as far as finances go. Bucky, one of the great things he did, so he passed in July of 2019. And I was in India at the time. My mom called me and told me I was in India working just for like a month or something. So I came home and to help her. He had left. He had actually had left a letter that he had written. It was within a couple of days of him passing, but he had written a letter out, and he had it in an envelope, and it was basically open when I die, and put it in his desk. He obviously didn't leave it sitting out, but he had written that. But he had also gone through and listed all the insurance that he had, all the life insurance. Here's the company, here's the contact information, here's the amount that it should be, and it's all paid up and everything else, and here it is. Bucky used to sell insurance back before he was an educator. So he had all of that laid out, and it was basically just, when the smoke kind of cleared and Mom was able to concentrate, and we were able to kind of work through that and contact insurance, kind of get that ball rolling. So, rather than having it in little sticky notes, scattered around your desk and everything else, I mean, it simplifies it to have it in one place and have like a folder of life insurance here's my wishes for, a death. Here's a copy of the will. Here's all the stuff outside of the will. Here's here's where I want this to go. Here's whatever. Here's all the, here's where I want to, my burial plans, all that stuff. And I'll talk about that in a future video about getting ready for that. But bank accounts, having that organized. Where's the money at? Having it all together so the kids or whoever this executor of the state doesn't have to go hunting for stuff. They say in the U.S. at any particular point in time, there's tons of money that are just sitting in accounts that just never get tapped because they just sit there because it just nobody knows they're there. So you certainly don't want to lose that out. And Mom had done that. She simplified things a lot by at the end there add me to the account, so I was able to see and write checks out of that or whatever when the time came and all of that. But and then like I said, having this little folder and then have like a to-do list, like when I die to-do list. And that Mom had a little bit of that, and I kind of had to come up with one, but as afterwards, and I'll talk about that on a future video as well. But want to talk about planning ahead, but that's certainly a big part of that. But simplifying things like that. So, like I said, your job, your finances, the things around your home, simplify things. Take a step back, think about what you're doing things, why you're doing it, and really assess and go, what am I working this hard for? To put money aside to give to the kids when I could, maybe work part-time and go see the kids more. I mean, that's certainly, simplify your life. Think about that. So, more things to think about. Comments, let me know what you think. It certainly helped. I was reading through the comments that y'all left on the last video, and I hope this is helpful. Give you some things to think about, some experiences that I went through. The next video I'm going to talk about is planning ahead. That'll be part 3. And then the last one is going to be, part 4 is going to be considering those you leave behind, and all that entails. So hope you enjoy these, and we'll see you next time. Take care.